Okay, so I'm just gonna go over this journal from December 7th to December 10th, 2020. I did this one already, but I had my sound off. Like a duck deck. And I didn't realize until I finished the whole video, which was like 40 something minutes. But anyway, I go try and run through it a little faster this time because I have my new journals to go over after this. Now, first trade of last week. This is last week. From when I'm recording this. So last week, let's see, $5 loss. So risk, so that's about 10 pips. Let's see what I did here. I entered right at this previous high there. Before this candle, I remember this candle was going up. I was like, oh, it's gonna break, and then it didn't break the highs yet, and I entered. And the spread in this week is probably where I entered, and the spread put me right here. Um, we were in a bullish. This was a bullish trend, so that's why I was looking for buys. But my idea was to wait for a pullback to this area and then take buys from there. But I entered at my full position and then got stopped out one time. I should have entered half risk, but yeah, this was a bit of an impulse entry. This is not a setup I would take again. I have already established that I do not like these kind of setups. They're not high probability, this impulsive kind of thing. I prefer to have a nice order block formed at my key areas of interest and then take the trade when the order block is broken, or if it's a large enough order block, like let's say this whole area here was like started to form an order block and I was looking for buys, then I would wait until price tested the bottom, took my position and then held until it got to the top to see if it broke. If it didn't break, I have two options then: either continue holding till it came back down, test again and then go back up, or exit the trade and then look for a re-entry when it got back to the bottom. But yeah, that's that. This is that same chart here again. You can see this is the candle where I entered at previously, and then after this played out a little bit, I identified this minor bearish trend. There was another point it touched further on, but I didn't get that in the screenshot. This trade actually ran to 15 pips, but again it was a 0.01 because I had already wasted much of my daily risk from this first trade. If I'd entered half there, then I could have entered half here, closed half at 15 pips when I said it break even, and then come out with a little bit more, but I didn't. But either way, that day, let's see. Oh, I took a third trade that day after the break even trade, so I had one more trade. So I took another trade, another 0.01 buy, just here. It did come, price did come to my area. Didn't wait for the right confirms though. If I was to buy anywhere, and furthermore, we were in this downtrend. We were trending down once again on multiple levels here. This is probably an extended one. This is a minor one here. So my bias was pretty invalid at that point until we broke this area at least. We came down, we broke a previous bullish trend and then did a small bounce, retest the area, and then we just kind of broke, and then price kind of fell down afterwards. So overall, I think I was just stuck. I was kind of stuck on my buy bias, and I didn't really adapt to the sells. Also, here I didn't really wait for any confirmations. But overall, that day I really managed my risk well. So preserving capital is one of my primary goals. So that's good. Anyway, next. Yeah, this trade here, Asian session, actually went up. I was taking a 0.01. Don't sure why I was doing that. Probably because I was in Asian session and not really my trading time. So I ended up 0.01. Could have just taken it for a quick scalp at 20 pips, but I was trying to go for a longer term target, like to try hold it overnight. Anyway, I shifted it to break. I entered when we kind of was like, I was looking at this as a previous high. It also kind of lined up with that area over there. So I was like, okay, we failed to break that area. So let me enter. I took an entry. Price went up a little bit, went down, rejected, and then came back up to test that area, and then it continued to move down. So didn't secure anything once again. Well, I kind of did by securing it at break even at 3 pips. So that's why I came up with 30 cents. Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. If I was just looking for some quick scalps, or if I had opened it with a bigger position, I'd be able to like close partials here and leave the runner, secure that 3 pips. But again, I didn't. So there we go. Next trade was in my actual session, 0.02. It was a good trade. Got 20 pips on here. Saw price reject the key level and the minor bearish structure. Came back up from the minor order block. Yes, this is one of the setups that I really have identified that I like. These little order blocks forming and then trying and see if you get like a small trend within the order block to try and like take your entries within, because sometimes, as you can see, when it breaks impulsive, and you get better entries if you try to get it at some point within the order block. A bigger order block is better to enter within. Smaller block order block is better if you wait until it breaks. But here it kind of broke just a tiny bit, so I entered. Or when I realized it was failing to test these highs, I entered, took that riskier entry here. Price came back up, um, retested the order block. That's another setup. That's a really good one, is a retest of an order block. So it broke, wait, when it came back, retest, then I could enter, and then I wouldn't have to worry. I closed half here because it came back to my entry. So closed half, and then price ended up running that day for me like 41 pips. So I remember that was my first like nice nice trade with a good risk to reward, because I only opened it with 11 pips stop loss, gained 41 pips. So that's almost a 1 to 4, like somewhere between 1 to 3 and 1 to 4. So that was a good trade for me. Again, like I said, could have just held it despite it coming back to my entry. Should have probably just waited to see the reaction at the previous order block that was broken, to see if it would be a retest or not. And again, this order block here lines up with this previous one. So if you can kind of picture it like kind of extended, then this was probably, and if I had probably gone further left, I would probably seen more areas of interest there. So pretty much it was just coming back up to test that area of interest. Even here, some lows formed. You see multiple rejection wicks at that area, same area. So that's something to pay attention to. This could also be a place to scale in entries. So you enter, you take your half your entry, then you scale in another entry at that possible area there. Next, let's see. This was a lot. Oh, I remember this trade. I entered way too impulsively. This was my area where I wanted to enter. I had planned for price to take a retracement up to the bearish structure, test it, reject, and then I would have entered somewhere like here. I would have probably entered like literally on that first tap rejection. When it closed, just boom, entered, and then held it, and then price actually ran pretty well from there. But price was going up, and we were coming back up to these kind of highs here. Not really strong highs, so I don't know why I was looking at it as anything to be like reacting to. Price did this candle here, and when it formed the top wick and it started moving down, I was like, all right, let me take an entry as it's moving down, because I was like, all right, if that's the high, I was basically calling tops, and that's not wise. You should wait for confirmations for you to know when a top has been formed. Up here it would be more feasible to call tops, because this is a previously respected, stronger, bearish structure that's would work as better confirms. But anyway, as it was going down, I entered the trade, and then it pretty much never went into profit from there. We got up here, and then I saw these rejections here. Could have closed, that's why I have them circled. Could have closed half there, but I left the full position and got stopped out, pretty much losing all my profits from my best trade that week. But again, I finished that day break even, so didn't lose any capital. That's still better than a loss. Here, I remember this day. This was some fast fingers in managing this trade and like taking re-entries and stuff. Price was trending down overall. Yeah, gold was in a bearish structure, like overall higher time frame. Like this was just a minor bullish structure here, but I saw price come up here, test this key level, break down a little bit, form up basically a double top. So as it was rejecting here and then started breaking down, I entered. Price ran up a good bit, secured 50% of the trade at 50 pips, at 20 pips, sorry, and then kept the rest break even, got stopped out. London Open came, and these candles were showing some large rejections, so I entered again on the way down. Secured another 15 pips, could have held it a little bit more, but we were at this minor bearish bullish structure as we had rejected before, or reacted at before. But I was gaining more confidence in this trade as we broke down, came up close to my break-even point actually. So my stop loss, which was set at a small, tiny bit in profit. We rejected all the way back down below the structure line, and then but then we rejected this area of interest here. This so basically, if I look over here now, I can see that this wick didn't really reject the bearish structure. It rejected this key area of interest. Same thing with these candles. Same thing with this candle. So when I saw this, I could have maybe exited the trade early, anticipating that it would not break, because I was a third failure to break that area. Then I got stopped out. But even if all of that being said, I still came out that day with good profit. This was an accidental trade that I took, SMH. Summary. So yeah, that day I finished with some good profit, like $6.20. That was pretty good for the size of my account. Next, here, right, took these buys. This was the only I think this was the only mistake I made, was I closed my run a little bit too early, so I locked in that loss of 15 pips. Whereas I could have just let it run, still taking my second entry here when I saw price rejecting and like kind of moving up. Like basically we were trending like that, you can see. So when I saw price come down here, reject like this, form these three candles were weak. These two candles here were weak, bearish candles. Then you had that one bullish candle form, and then this next one forming. So I entered there. See these kind of rejection candles here, and then this one broke up. So that's why I entered. So I could have still held this runner. It wouldn't have hit my stop loss. Then entered again, and then I would have been able to maximize more profit from that day. But either way, I cut my loss from this trade pretty much in half by getting this position in. Then I tried to take another buy and ended up getting out break even. And then these third buys here was just forced trade. Like this was pretty much rushed. Price came down, broke below my key level just like a tiny bit. Then I saw it snap back. Right away. So that's what I kind of use as confirmation to enter. But again, forming the low highs here, and we just kind of put down back below this area. This was a pretty weak bullish candle, so I could have closed there. But I closed half on the next candle, and then I got stopped out. So all in all, I managed my risk well that day, and then this is how I could have taken the trade next time, is what I was telling myself. So saw this bearish structure there, yep, like I identified up there. This little order block formed. As soon as it broke, could have taken my entry or waited for it to retest the key level and taken my entry and then continued down. Or I could have entered, like this was identifying this bearish structure, could have waited until it boom 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 retested the top here again, boom. Could have entered here, set my stop loss, same area. Or when it tested again and rejected again, entered. Or like I said, when it broke below and then broke below, I could have entered. When it did the retest, I could have entered. So several points in this trade I could have entered, and then taken the trade, secured at 35 pips, and then continued on like that. I'm catching more of these trades as I go on. So this day, all in all, managed my risk well, so I didn't come out with too much of a loss. I think I was risking 650 that day, ended up coming out with 550 loss, so still saved the dollar. Didn't blow my whole risk for the day. And then here's my compound snapshot for last week. Had me achieving my goals somewhere towards the end of April, which is what I'm aiming for anyway. So started the week with 131, risked 5% each day. But this is what my RR came out to be by the end of the week when I checked my weekly positions. I think I took 15 positions that week, which I've been reducing. Win rate 53%, that's pretty good. Ended up with a 125. So not that bad of a loss that week. Just $5.74. I say just, but still a loss. But the good thing about it is that my losses have been controlled, not over risking, over leveraging, over trading, just keeping them controlled. 13 positions that week, reduced from 15 the previous week. I stuck to my plan for the whole week, which is how I can keep my loss for the whole week the same as my risk for each day. See, I'm risking 5% each day, but I'm coming out at the end of the week with only 5% loss. You can see how that happened. You can see how that played out. 5% lost the first day. This day when I killed my profits, just under 0.1%, 5% win, 5%, just under 5% loss. And then of course I didn't trade on Friday because Fridays I don't really trade anymore. And yeah, that was my week. Biggest winner was $4.24, but this here I count as one trade. This was the trades, or was it? No, I can't remember. But anyway, good. My top three trades, decent. I'll say. But yeah, that's that week. This week, I guess my lessons were. Let's see if I have any lessons written down. I usually write lessons. Patience pays always. Yes, that's true. Waiting for your ideal entries and such. Waiting for your confirms. Not being too stuck to your bias. Okay, cool. So again, I was just redoing this video, so I kind of rushed through it. I'm about to do my next one. Keep killing it.